Greetings again. I'm Charlotte King. I'm Meetings and Events Chair for the DFW chapter of Forward. And I'm delighted to be here with you today. Thank you so much for attending. I also want to thank our host today, Stuart Stapp, General Manager here at Fabrication. Stuart, thank you very much. I think everyone has probably already found a seat and begun lunch. That's really great. We do encourage you, as I mentioned earlier, to try to get to know at least 2 people outside of your regular circle, if you can, before you leave here today. I recently attended a women's leadership conference, and one of the first few speakers of the day challenged us to do exactly that. And it was incredibly rewarding. Most of the time, I'm encouraged by someone on a podium to do something like that, and I always try to do it because it just seems like such a good idea. But that day, I actually did it, and boy, did I come away with some riches. So try to get to know 2 people that you don't know already. I want to say parenthetically from the podium to our speaker, we're running a little early, which is a good thing. So I do want to introduce some of the other chapter leads for Forward here in DFW. The 2 chapter leads for this location, Fabrication, are Tammy Krause and Ruth Foster. If you would please stand, Tammy and Ruth. If you're here at Fabrication and you have questions, please get with them. Then for AV, our chapter leads there are Remerit and Sonia. Sonia Barreau and Remerit. And then at corporate, chapter leads include myself and also Bernadette. Bernadette, where are you? Thank you very much. Sorry. Caught you in the middle. And Valerie. Valerie, thank you. Also our communications chair. By the way, Bernadette is also our mentor chair for DFW chapter, and Valerie is communications chair. And then also, lost track of my thoughts for a second. Who have I forgotten? Please stand. Mary Beth, please forgive me. Please forgive me, Mary Beth. Then also, and myself, so all 4 of us, if you happen to be here from corporate and you'd like to have a dialogue or have a question or comment, you may ping any one of us. One of my favorite expressions, ping away. Also, is the representative for Forward at CDC, and Bernadette is the representative for Forward for Expo Branch. So if you're from one of those locations and you have a question, those are your contacts. I want to also mention that one of my beloved managers, I have 2 of them, but one of my beloved managers, Carrie Freeman Parsons, is the chair for the Board of Trustees this year for Girls Inc. of Metropolitan Dallas. And she really has a heartbeat for the organization. There are some yellow gold flyers on your table that speak to the opportunity to join with Girls Inc. as a mentor for young girls here in the Dallas metropolitan area. Excuse me. And they actually have a campus location where you can mentor young girls very close to the Freeman corporate office by coincidence, right off of Harry Hines, not very far from where we are. So that's just an FYI, but the flyer will give you more information if you're thinking about ways to pay it forward or give back to young women who are just on the cusp of learning what it takes to be a grown-up. So that's all really good stuff. Let's see. Next up is our very esteemed speaker and one of my dearest friends, Ed Freeman. May I just say that? She's actually my cube mate. We're just across the cube from each other. And she is a constant source of inspiration for me. She is one of the most polished people that I've ever worked with, but also she typically comes from a heart level. When you interact with Anitra, you know you're getting the real Anitra. And that vulnerability is something that is exceptionally valued in any relationship, but especially in a workplace. Anitra is our brand manager. She oversees the the Freeman Co. website and many related projects to the Freeman Co. website. She is also, and she's going to grade me after this, the president of the Freeman chapter of Toastmasters, Freeman Face to Face, which, by the way, meets at the corporate office every Tuesday at noon, and it's free to attend. So she will, as I say, she will grade me later. So the nationwide focus for Forward during the second quarter, not just here in DFW, but nationwide, is on the topic of leadership and leading. So we are actually delighted to hear from Anitra today, because since she's on the other side of the cubicle wall from me, when I told her that the topic was leadership, she said, I have a speech for that. And of course she did. So she is going to be teaching some of the valuable life lessons that have taught her, and this is what's key for me, that leadership is a mindset, not a title or position. So please help me in welcoming Anitra Keys.
Thank you, Ms. Charlotte. And yes, Char gets an A+ for her comments on Tuesdays at 12 at the corporate office. Thank you for that introduction, Char, and welcome. I've gone around and met some of you guys, and I have to say this is a room full of great names and cuteness. Stuart, present company included, is great. Yes. And welcome. The topic today is lead where you are. A lot of times people think of leadership as a title, as a certain position, or at a certain level in life. But I have learned down through the years that you can lead from where you are. I am the proud mother of an almost 14-year-old boy named Michael. Michael plays football. And I know this is a Forward event, but I have to talk about this football thing. He did not get the position that he wanted on his football team this year. So he moped for what seemed like forever. He would go on the field with his head slumped. He'd come off with his head slumped. He didn't play to his full potential because he wasn't where he wanted to be. He gets in the car one night and he slumps down. And he says, "Can you believe that? That coach is yelling at me." So he goes on, and I look at him and I said, "I don't blame him. I have watched you." And he looked at me with horror because his mother has betrayed him. I am his mother, and I should be taking up for him against the coach. But I explained to him, he has this potential to do a great job where he is, but he won't do it because he's so focused on where he thinks he should be. I told him, you have an opportunity. These other children are watching you. You can lead from where you are by being a great teammate. He listened. He said, "You really think I can?" I said, "I know you can, and I know I can, and I know you all can lead from where you are." About 15 years or so ago, I found myself in a peculiar position, if you will. That's me. That's me. It's hard to tell, right? I didn't have the confidence. I had some great ideas. I had some things that I thought would be beneficial to my organization, but I didn't have the confidence to speak up because I didn't think I should. I didn't think I could. I didn't think they would listen to me. So I have something to say, but. So I would keep all these great ideas to myself, and I wouldn't share them. Somebody saw me looking like my son, coming into work, leaving work, dragging, and not being up to my full potential. So, and I want to say this on mentorship, is that a mentorship can be a program, but it doesn't have to be a program. I mentor people all the time, and I'm mentored all the time. Char actually mentors me a lot of times as we discuss things over the wall in our cube. Somebody, I don't know if they were afraid of me, but they left this book on my desk. Who Moved My Cheese? So I call them my unofficial undercover mentor. They left me this book. I guess, I don't know what I was looking like, but they left me this book, and I sat down and I read this book. In this book, there are 4 characters, 2 mice and 2 little people. Sniff and Scurry are the mice, and Hem and Haw are the little people. So Sniff, one of the main characters, he's a mouse that sniffs out change early. Scurry scurries into action when he figures out change has come. The little people, him and haw, him is going to resist change because it's going to lead to something worse. So I need to just stay put. Don't need to change. Don't need to do anything differently. Something bad's going to happen. Haw, who is kind of influenced by him a lot, he adapts to change in time once he sees that the change is good for him. So Sniff, Scurry, him, and Haw, they go to the same place every day, and it's called Cheese Station C. They have found the cheese. Now, the metaphor for the cheese is whatever it is that you want in life, be it successful career, family, whatever that is. That's the cheese. That's the thing that you're chasing after. Every day they get up, they go to Cheese Station C, they sit, they eat their cheese, they enjoy their cheese. Sniff and Scurry start to notice that the cheese is getting low. Him and Haw, same routine. Cheese is going to be there because cheese has always been there. So they go. So finally, Sniff and Scurry realizes the cheese runs out. They go on and they do something else, find other cheese in this maze that they live in. Well, him convinces Haw we shouldn't leave because it could lead to something worse. A little bit more on that. So I read the book and I got an attitude. What you trying to say? I don't sniff, I don't scare, I don't hem or haw. So what do you mean? Well, when I was honest with myself, I realized here I am, right between him and haw. That is where I sat. And I was like, oh, wow. So I'm stuck between a him and a haw. Now what do I do? Well, I talked to some people, and they said, where do you want to go? Well, I realized I couldn't tell you where I wanted to go because I didn't know where I really was. How many people have used the navigation system? Right. Can you get to your destination if you don't put in where you are? No. If you do that, you may end up with something like that. That's your plot if you don't have a point A. But once you figure out what your point A is, you can logically plot your course to get to the next whatever you want to do. So that's what I did. I took an honest assessment of myself, a serious assessment of myself. Where was I in my personal life, my career? What made me happy? You know, what were my opportunities? Where did I want to go? What motivated and inspired me? Those were the questions I had to ask to get started. That was years ago. After those years, I want to share with you today 4 things that I learned to do that helped me lead wherever it was I ended up. So I lead with what's called a DSC model. What's a DSC model? Say it, Sonia. What's There you go. Thank you. So years ago, I went to college when I was 30-something. And I was terrified when I found out I had to take calculus. You want me to give you a screenshot of something? I can do it. You want me to draw you a picture? I can do it. Numbers? That is not me. So when they told me I had to take calculus, I was so terrified. But I wanted to take it from the best professor. I wanted to study really hard and really, really make the grade. So my professor gets up on the board one day. He draws. It looked almost like this. He drew out this thing, and so I was able to follow. I was like, okay, yeah, got that. Then he said, so when this doesn't work, use the DSE model. I'm scrambling my brain. What is the DSE model? What is he talking about? How did I miss it? I missed the DSE model. I didn't know what to do. So he kept going, and he finally just said, do something else. What are you talking about? That is not a calculation. What is wrong with him? It is sometimes just that simple, that you do something else. You can move the needle for yourself no matter where you are if you look at doing something else. Doing something else does not mean you need to leave. That's just the way that you conduct yourself. What's the next thing I learned? How many people have seen this movie? This is one of my favorite movies, Vantage Point, with Forrest Whitaker and Dennis Quaid. Great movie. In this movie, there's an assassination plot against the President of the United States as he's in Spain. The story is told from 8 different characters' point of view. And their views are all different. They all see the same thing, but they all come up with a different assessment based on everything that has happened to them up to that point in that day. That's each one of us. Each one of us has what I call a unique vantage point, and that's your UVP. Okay? I've been somewhere, I've seen some things. You've been somewhere, you've seen some things. We can look at the same thing and come up with a different opinion and assessment. And all of that, then you take all of those different ideas. So when Mary Beth and I work together on a project, and we will, we're going to take our unique vantage point and turn it into our unique value proposition. This is how we bring value to the organization. This is how you lead. You're unique. You have a different vantage point. Take that and turn that into your unique value proposition. Now, you can also lead from within, no matter what it looks like. So I love this picture here. Look at this guy. He is sitting there, and he is like, where are we going? Where are we doing? And he's so much so that the one guy in front of him is turned around to look at him as if you don't belong here. But he is sitting right there. He's almost the shape of the bags and everything. And I remember years ago, when I was early in my career, I was a professional administrative assistant. And at that time, they had what they call points by objective. They had this system where you would go, all the professionals and the managers, they would put in their objectives, and they would get these, these assessments on their objectives. But for me, they had a script that I was supposed to follow. Well, I didn't want to follow the script. So I went and wrote out myself some goals for myself, and I went into the office. Excuse me. I need to have some time with you so that we can review my objectives. He looked at me, he said, you don't have to have them. You're an admin, you don't need them. I said, you didn't hear me. I need to schedule some time with you so that we can review my goals for the next year. So I told you, don't worry about it. Just copy and paste it, drop it in. I said, okay, one more time. I need to set some time with you to review my objectives. Well, when I did that, he then had to look at me differently. And I set some real goals for myself that we both agreed on, and then I was measured on those goals. And then after that, the other admins were then challenged to come up with goals, because you can have a goal for yourself no matter where you are. You don't have to follow the status quo. And he always would remind me, it's like, why did you do that? I said, because I wanted you to take me seriously. I wanted you to understand that, first of all, I take myself seriously. So, of course, I think you should take me seriously, too. So I stood out by being outstanding. Do something that's outstanding. A lot of times I'm slow sometimes to respond, but I'm very thorough, just so you know. When you get a response from me, it's very, very complete. It takes me a little longer. Sorry. But it is very, very complete. So that's another way. So another thing you can do, you don't have to have a title to lead, or you don't have to have a particular title to lead. Leadership does not equal titles. I have some quotes on leadership that I'd like to share with you that I'm going to have to turn around to read because I can't see that far. I'm sorry. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. You can influence people with your actions. You can influence people by having conversations with them. You don't have to have the authority to do that, but you can influence people. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. Do the right thing, and you're a leader automatically. Here you can change the impossible to possible, because leaders think and talk about solutions. Followers think and talk about problems. One of the things I learned is, for every time I find something that is an opportunity, I'll try to look at 3 possible solutions for it. Let me do a little extra work, and when I come in and say, hey, Alicia, we can't get that press release out at 11, but by 11:45, I can have it done for you, and then I give an explanation. So sometimes you do a little extra work to then find out what a solution is, instead of always, hey, always come to me. Just find a solution, and then you're a leader. You can't lead with titles, rules, or just words. You lead with trust, compassion, and listening. And this CEO of Belfour Holdings, Sheldon Yelling, he was on Undercover Boss, and he went out and he did work with his employees, and he learned that he had been trying to lead with his title and by pushing down rules, but he hadn't listened to his employees. And when he got to know them, he had compassion on them, and then he was a true leader. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change, but the leader adjusts the sails. I love that quote. It's one of my favorites. Now, I had to change this because this is a forward event. Okay? No, leave where I am, but let's be real. A woman who wants to lead the orchestra must turn her back on the crowd. So sometimes leading is not necessarily doing the thing that's popular, but you can lead by turning your back on the crowd. Mary Kay Ash. We all know who Mary Kay is, don't we? A leader has two important characteristics. First, she is going somewhere. Second, she is able to persuade others to go with her. Very true. This is my favorite. This is my all-time favorite. If you think you're too small to be effective, you have never been in the dark with a mosquito. How many people have been in the dark with a mosquito? You will get up in the middle of the night, turn the lights on, wake up the kids, because that mosquito has to get out of there, because he will get you. So you can be effective where you are. You are never too small or to be effective. What did some of the people say as I began to try to lead from where I am? And I want to tell you all, I forgot about this one story on my DSC slide. A friend of mine invited me to lunch to go to Toastmasters. What kind of lunch is that? I want to go eat. We go to lunch. Where are we going? Yeah, where are we going? So we go to the Toastmasters meeting. That was last November. That was the thing that changed so much for me. Just sometimes doing something else. You go somewhere, you may get involved in a different organization, and you may find something that you absolutely love, and that's what, if you would have told me last November that I would have been up here talking, probably not. No, not me. But because I did find something that I loved, I just absolutely love it. Sometimes just doing something else, and you don't ever know what that's going to be, but you do have the opportunity. What did people say? This is what they said. They weren't impressed. So what, lady? You've done something else. Now what? But I did learn so much, and I will tell you this. I have actually learned how to better communicate with my he is my teenage son, if that is even possible. Learn how to listen to him, learn how to talk to him, learn how to show him how to be able to lead where he is and be effective. You can do that too. How do you do that? Move your cheese. Say it with me. Look at this guy. Move your cheese. That's what you can do. You can move your cheese. So I wanted to follow up the Michael story from earlier. He listened to what I said. The next game, he got there. I saw his helmet upright, his shoulders up straight. I saw him jog on the field and jog off the field. I was like, look at him go. And at the end, the game was tied, 20-20. They had 30 seconds left. He talked to the boys. They gave a big push at the end that forced the fumble. They ran it in for a touchdown. And he was the happiest thing. Did you see me lead? Did you see me lead? I was like, yes. But I told him, I said, do you see now how your attitude can have an impact and an effect on a group of people? You can lead where you are, you can have the right attitude, and you can make things change, not only for yourself, but for your organization, your community, your family, or for wherever you find yourself. You can, in fact, lead wherever you are. Any questions? Oh, let me follow. Let me do my last. Here are the 4 ways you lead. You lead by using your DSC model with your unique vantage point, turning it into your unique value proposition. You lead from within, stand out by being outstanding, and without that particular title is how you lead. Any questions? That's my unofficial undercover mentor right there. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You've done so much with Toastmasters, and I know that was something that was unexpected for you to go to that meeting and find out how much you loved it. And not only did you go get out of your comfort zone, but you know, they asked you to take on a pretty big role, and I just wondered if you'd share some of the things you've learned by essentially putting yourself in a place where you're a little bit uncomfortable.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. And she's right. When they approached me, well, a couple of people talked to me about running for president again. Somebody behind me. Who are you talking to? And I really had to consider it, but they said, you have this enthusiasm, because it was something that I really fell in love with, and I was so passionate about it. I said, okay, I will. I'll see. But at the time, I didn't realize how much that was going to mean to not only to myself, but to the club and the people that I get a chance to meet and the people that I get a chance to talk to. And I ran for president. I won. I started July 1st. And since then, it's just been such an awesome experience. It's hard to really articulate what it means, but when you see people come in and they're really afraid to speak and you get to talk to them and say, you know, you can do it. We have sessions where you get to talk for 30 seconds or you get to talk for 1 minute, and you get more and more relaxed as you do that. But not only that, for me, another thing that I took very seriously, I make sure we have monthly or bi-monthly meetings as a leadership team. So me with the Vice President of Education, Ms. Christina is our VP for Public Relations. We have a meeting where we talk about and set goals for our club. We say, okay, what do we want to do? And this year, I'm so excited. Ralph Smedley is the founder of Toastmasters International. Our club won a Smedley Award, which is something we have not won in the 5 years, except for the first year when we came together as a club. You had to get 5 new members within a certain time frame. So the experience that I've had is to be able to be creative and to really stand out and be outstanding, and even thinking outside the box. When we had Customer Service Week, we asked to be a part of Toastmasters of the week. So we decided to have Toastmasters Tuesday. And with that, Ms. Rochelle is now a new member of Toastmasters. Ms. Valerie, we've gotten several new members inside of Freeman because we opened the doors. And one of the things I found, I started asking questions. We had an open house in May, which was great. But people still didn't understand what Toastmasters was and why should they join. So as the president, I challenged our group to come up with a creative way to have an open house. If we just have a meeting, they're not going to get it. So we came up with a different way to have an open house. And out of that, we got 8 new members, I believe, inside of Freeman. And not only that, we were able to write that up as a success story and send it in to Toastmasters. And a lot of people are using that now as the model for how to do an effective open house. But just by doing something different, doing something else, and really trying to stand out. And it wasn't even at the time when we did it, I didn't think about it. I just knew the people weren't getting it. I said, if we do the same thing, they're not going to get it and they're not going to come back. So how do we help them understand what it is and what's the benefit? So I enjoy that piece of it. I'm sure they'll be glad when they get another president because we do a lot. Yes, ma'am. Oh, thank you. Any other? Okay.
So you've been talking about Toastmasters, and there are quite a few of us, I imagine, like myself, that don't know what it's about. So can you tell us about it? You're talking about the open houses, but I'm very curious to find out what Toastmasters is about.
How much time do we have?
Thank you.
Because I can talk to you all day about Toastmasters, and I will tell you this. One of the misconceptions about Toastmasters is that it's something for people who want to be a public speaker. And it is that, and that's a great part of it. But it's also for someone who is terrified of speaking in front of anyone. And there are other skills that you learn. For instance, you learn how to be a leader. You learn how to mentor and be mentored. You learn how to effectively listen. Because every time you give a speech or you give any talk, you get some kind of evaluation. And I also learned how to take feedback. That was one of the things. It's hard when somebody's trying to tell you opportunities, and you're like, yeah, complaints. It really is an opportunity. And I've learned how to now, when I get feedback, I don't take it personally because I look for, yeah, you know what? That is true. I did say that a lot. So it really kind of helps you. And I've noticed with the people that have joined within the last 6 to 8 months, I see them growing and getting stronger, not just at the meeting, but personally and professionally. So it is an organization that helps you on so many different levels, not just speaking. Did that answer your question? Enough to come to? Yeah. Well, if you need to find a club, I can give you information on how to do that. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, you're awesome.
Aww,
you really
thank
are.
You. Aww.
I'm a fan.
Thank you.
You talked a little bit about being in the admin role.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about the challenges you faced switching from an admin role to a marketing professional role, and maybe what was your biggest fear or your biggest challenge?
Okay, sure. Yes, that is where I started. I was going to school, and I was working full-time. I was going to school full-time, and I was an administrative professional. I wanted to grow into a role, but I didn't know what. I wasn't really sure what I would be good at. I thought I liked IT, so I thought I was technical, so I said, okay, I can do that. But I had a person that I worked for, and they said, well, why don't we do this? Because I was older. I wasn't at the intern level. He allowed me the opportunity to work half-time as his director admin and half-time on a project. Well, the other admin said, I'm not doing your work. And she didn't do my work. So what we came up with was a way for me to, and this is the God's honest truth, I had a little plastic file box that I had a stapler, a pen, some scissors, a tape, and my files. And I would get that box and sneak off to a conference room. And I would work on my project. I would work on my project some at night. And I did those kinds of things just to get a name for myself. So when I graduated, it was so funny. My boss, he walked up and he said, well, Wendy has a position open in case you just wanted to know that. And I said, okay. Is it entry level? What is the position? He was like, well, you just go talk to her. I was just telling you, just in case you know somebody that's interested. And that was my opportunity. But because I kind of built up those relationships with her and her team and had been kind of working in the background, but just to say, I can take the notes at the meeting to learn what is, at the time I was working on FedEx.com. Woo, what is it? I had no idea, but just kind of getting in. And so some of the challenges were to keep doing my job without being noticed while doing something different. So I had to work a little extra, work a little harder, but I wanted to prove myself. So I was willing to do it to get to the next level. And I did. And now I'm here with you, Don. Yay! So exciting. Ms. Shar?
Anitra, just because we have lots of opportunities to have conversations, I remember I was inspired by something you shared with me when you told the story about how you realized people were looking at you and asking themselves, can she really do that? Mm-hmm. I wondered if you would share that.
Yes. There is a story that someone shared with me that said they were in a New York traffic jam. And people are sitting there, they're honking their horns, they're upset, they're not able to go forward. And then one guy in a car takes his car, gets two wheels on the sidewalk, goes around the car, goes across the median, and he's gone. Everybody's sitting there going, can he do that? And he has done that, and he's gone. A lot of people say about Toastmasters, can she do that? Does she have time to do that? I have time to do that. I make time to do that because it is something that's important to me, and it's something that I feel that's important to others. And Toastmasters is just one of the things, but always just, you just never know. I feel like I have a lot of stories, and I feel like I'm kind of given a platform to share and hopefully help somebody else who may be thinking the same way I was thinking, that you can't do it. You don't feel like you fit in. You don't feel like, but you do have value. And it took me a long time, and I wish I'd known this maybe 10 years ago, but that's okay. I know it now. I've got it. But I just want to be able to share that with someone. Yes, I can do it, you can do it, she can do it, we can all do it. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, you talked about going outside of your box, challenging yourself, and I wanted to share with some of these people here, what are some tips that you can give, how you can overcome some of those fears that you have? I mean, it's really hard to take that leap. It's really hard to say, I'm going to do it. How do I do it? What am I going to do to pull that together? You know, it's hard to get past that fear of doing the unknown. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was going to ask you about there.
Sure. One of the things that I've learned is, and it's a simple thing, it's just to get to know people. It's kind of, can we go for coffee? Can we go for lunch? You know, I don't know about you all, but I do take my lunch seriously. And we can go to lunch for sure. And you get to know people. And even in some meetings, if you're there before, you're there after, you talk to people, you find out kind of what they do, where they are, and you make those connections. So sometimes then you can be able to say, hey, I was just wondering, how does this sound to you? Does this sound doable? Or some other things. I have a really, really bad habit, and Molly will tell me all the time, just give me something. And I'm like, Molly, you know better than that. Here's the spreadsheet. Here's the big thing. Here's the PowerPoint. And I always kind of go a little above and beyond because I really want to stand out. And I still have that need now to say, here's the site map. Nobody wants that, I don't think. But then sometimes they come back and they do. It's a thing that's needed because I can see that it's needed. And it's almost as if, well, I guess it's easy. It's easy to do it. You just have to come outside of your comfort zone. You have to say, I can make this connection. And the first time, it's going to hurt just a little bit for you to do that because it's going to be a different feeling. Becoming president of Toastmasters after I'd only been in it 7 months, I did not want to do it. Sometimes I still don't want to do it, but they felt like it was good for the group. So I decided to take it on, and it has been something that I feel as if I'm different as a result. Maybe not better, but I'm different as a result of having done that. So there are some ways to do that. Yes, ma'am.
First, I wanted to say, we attended a Forward Women's Conference at the Dallas Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. You could have easily been one of those keynote speakers.
Oh, thank you.
You did an excellent job. Second, I wanted to say, when you talked about mentoring and how you try to do that every day, I just wanted to say she most certainly does. When I first came to Freeman, Anitra and both Bobby were two of the people that, under the advice of Toby Purdy, he kind of said, well, why don't you just start reaching out to people? You don't have to know them. Ask them if they have 10 or 15 minutes for coffee or lunch. Tell them who you are, ask them who they are. And I was like, that is the weirdest thing in the world because people are going to be like, who are you and why do you want to have lunch? So a couple of people that I first approached were Anitra and Bobby, and they were both very open. She met me for lunch. Mm-hmm. She told me all about what it's like to be at lunch, and she takes it seriously. But she did tell me, I was having some challenges with getting, Freemanized. She talked me through that. So thank you for that. You were you leading where you are and, mentoring me, unofficially. You didn't have to take time to do that. So that's much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Christina, you have one?
I was just going to ask you to share the story.
Right.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask you to share the story about your badge.
Oh, so you will see me. I call myself double badged. I walk around with my Freeman badge and my Toastmasters badge. And I started doing that because, one, they gave me a badge. When they gave me that Toastmasters badge, I was so happy. I didn't know which one to wear, so I decided to wear both. But what happened, what I started to notice, what people would ask me, hey, what's that? Well, then I get a chance to tell them about Toastmasters and really bring awareness to people because, I've had people say, we still have that? What do you guys do? I thought you just hung out. And it gives me an opportunity to talk, but I took it off because it interfered with this little mic thing. So I took it off today, but I'll have it on soon. I wear both of my badges, and I do that because, again, it brings awareness and it helps me talk about not just our particular club, but Toastmasters all up. Unfortunately, everybody knows Freeman, so nobody asked me about that badge. So good to go on the Freeman badge. I think we have a couple more minutes, or I could be done early.
I have a question for you.
Sure thing.
So if I'm a hesitant leader, okay? Or I'm a shy leader, and I know I might be going against the grain in the group that I work in every day, for example. What are maybe 3 steps you can give me to get started? I hear you talking about leadership, and I can turn my back to the group, but if I'm working in a collaborative environment, as we do in Freeman, can you give me 3 steps that I can just start, 3 takeaways that I can go to and do today to get started?
1, I would say, you know the group and you know the people that you're working with. Lunch. just a way to get to know your team a little better, maybe on a little more of a personal level. 2, look for opportunities. So, for instance, if you have to put together a write-up on something, then do something extra. I had to write up something for the success story for the Toastmasters group, and they just sent me an email. I said, sure. Well, guess what they got? They got a 4-page document with pictures, and, here was the scenario. And then here is the solution that we came up with, and here are the results. So just kind of thinking a little different on how you prepare and present yourself when you're working with your group. And then the third thing I would say is just to, and it's hard to just kind of tell you because, it's HR. I don't want to get in any trouble. Just so you all know I love HR. I would look for ways to creatively take some leadership roles. So you see some things. So you may see something that you say, nobody's doing that. And you know that it can be done, and you know that it would be good for your group. You figure out a way to do that, and then we talked about persuading, having that influence and that persuasion. Say, I think as a group we should do this. And I think that will lead us to X. And then just take that. Own it. Own it. There you go. Is that good? Okay, well, thank you all so much for your time. I enjoyed it. It's over. Thank you.